do it.
Good evening, welcome to Have I Got News For You?
Oh, you're not going to let that go.
Oh, are you? OK, yeah. I do apologise about that intro. It's woken everyone up, hasn't it?
Michael Gove levelling up.
Good evening. Welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Stephen Mangan. In the news this week, in Essex, 33-year-old Barry Gibbons' claim that he is the second incarnation of Jesus are swiftly undermined.
Look at the state of my feet. I've got to try and get over there.
After the success of same-sex couples on Strictly, producers take the representation of minority groups a stage further. And after completing his 363rd tournament, Roger Federer finally decides it's time to quit. On Ian's team tonight is a comedian who has a PhD in virology, like that's ever going to come in handy. Please welcome Lina. On Paul's team tonight is a comedian who famously loves nothing more than going for a ride on his motorbike, though more recently he's just been pushing it to and from several local petrol stations. Please welcome Ross Noble. We begin with the bigger news stories of the week. Ian and Ria, have a look at this.
Oh, Boris and Pretty being nice to some immigrants?
No, it's the high-vis economy.
Boris showing why Boris bikes were renamed Santander.
Yep. He's off looking for a job.
Yeah, the Tory party conference. It's kind of like what the Hunger Games would look like if they staged them in Manchester. just a bunch of elite people thinking everything's all right while the rest of the country burns. Or not, because there's no fuel, but...
I think you're being unfair to Boris, and that's the one thing we're not going to be on this programme, because... We've got a new culture secretary, Nadine Dorris, and she's looking out for any hint of bias. So, you won't find any here. The Prime Minister gave an incredibly exciting speech.
Sorry, can I just check? So the new culture secretary is most famous for eating kangaroo penis?
No, that's unfair. She ate an ostrich anus.
We all need a
Followed it.
Was that at the conference or when she was on Amsterdam?
Oh, no. To be fair, it was harder than it sounds because the ostrich was doing about 34 miles an hour at the time.
Anyway, she ate the anus and now she's talking out of it. But no hint of bias here. In his speech, he quite rightly said the country's in a mess. The last 10 years have been a disaster. Who was in charge? And it was the Tory party. Which, again, you're stunned, aren't you? Because he didn't know that either.
Yes, despite a resurgence, and no matter how hard it tried, COVID couldn't bring down the Conservative Party conference for a second year in a row. What was described as bombastic, vacuous and economically illiterate?
It was Boris's speech.
And then Michael Gove came up. They call him Mr. Bombastic.
I'd pay a lot of money to see Michael Gove do that.
Funny enough, I'd pay a lot of money not to see him do that.
OK. In what unusual and entirely staged attire was Boris seen jogging around in on Sunday in Manchester?
An Imperial stormtrooper.
He had shorts and a shirt on.
Yeah, he did.
He looked like a man who'd been caught having an affair and had jumped out the window and just pulled everything on. And then I said he looked like a man.
Yeah.
I'm not saying...
Let's see if you're right. Let's have a look at him.
There he is.
How many hilarious variations did Boris manage on the slogan, Build Back Better?
7.
Something around that. Let's have a look.
Build back bitter. Build back batter.
Build back burger.
Build back butter.
Build back beaver, I say.
I mean, what's he think he's doing? I mean, what does the phrase build back butter actually... It doesn't mean anything. I might be the first one, but do you think he should be sectioned? Under the Mental Health Act.
By his build back butler?
Build back... Yeah.
Build back beaver, which, you know, I'm like, you've had enough beaver, Boris.
Do you find, like, every time he says, you just go, build back better, but you just keep saying build back better, and that to me sounds like one of the lesser-known hobbits, you know? It was like Bilbo Baggins, and then he's made build back better. Build back better, come with me.
I mean, you could play him, Ross.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
But that was the whole theme of the conference. Build back better.
Yes.
And the first announcement was that they weren't going to build those extra houses after all.
Or the hospitals.
No, so it's build back nothing.
Yeah.
But who doesn't build back better? Who goes, let's build back shitter?
I mean, I can think of a few construction companies. Carillion. No names.
We've had White Van Man, we've had Worcester Woman, we've had Greg's Guy. What's...
You speak for yourself.
Listen.
No wonder you've grown a beard.
Listen.
For anonymity.
Lockdown affected us all in different ways. Liz Truss, the new Foreign Secretary,
Yes.
who's she trying to appeal to?
Mr. Truss.
There's a new target for the Tories. Who are they trying to reach?
Oh.
The little Tory.
Little Tories, yeah. My favourite little Tory is Rishi Sunak. He's so tall. Yeah.
I love the way Rishi Sunak appeared at the conference. He's been watching the Americans. He came on and he was going... Who's he pointing to? Just...
I thought he was showing off an invisible budgie.
As Foreign Secretary, Liz Truss will find it easier to do what?
Sell cheese. Cheese and pork, that's right, yeah.
Build back bacon, come on.
Let's have a look at Liz and her pork obsession.
Yeah.
In December, I'll be in Beijing, opening up new pork markets.
While we're here, we might as well revisit this classic.
We import 2/3 of our cheese. That is a disgrace.
I mean...
She's tipped to be the next leader after Boris.
She'll get a lot of votes in Cheddar.
Yeah.
Or any cathedral city.
Why might Michael Gove be suddenly sweating?
He's been showing off his dance moves.
He has,
hasn't
yes, he has been showing off his dance moves, yeah.
He's young, free single out on the town, doing them Tory moves.
Quite
you
right,
know,
too.
shake off the poor, shake off the poor. Move through the press corps, move through the press corps. One referendum, line through my teeth. One referendum, line through my teeth. Just the classic.
One of the tracks Gove was dancing to was called Big Booty Hoes and Sluts Too. I mean, hoes and sluts, that levelling up agenda is really in full swing. What did the doorman of the nightclub claim that Gove tried to get out of?
Admission?
Yeah, the doorman claimed that Gove tried to avoid paying the £5 entrance fee to the club by boasting he was the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster.
Wow, we've all tried it.
I mean,
we've all tried it.
Yeah, he's got a new job. He's got a lot to do. According to The Sun, he is now in charge of saving the Union from Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP, fixing Britain's chronic shortage of housing, keeping town halls afloat despite the punishing costs of social care, as well as race relations, religious matters, and the PM's flagship policy of levelling up the country. How's Keir Starmer been connecting with the electorate?
Polls aren't good.
Let's have a look at Keir connecting with the electorate.
Pleased to meet you. I don't even recall ever seeing you before, so you're not out there, are you? At the minute, anyway. Well, I wouldn't have known who you were.
OK, thank you. Well, we can fix
No
that.
disrespect or anything. It's very nice to see you.
I mean, to be fair, there has been, like, a bit of a lockdown and a
Yes.
pandemic.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you out and about. Good. Now shut your face and get out. That's why I'm not a politician.
Yeah.
Who's got it in for the BBC?
Nadine Dorries?
Yes.
But I don't think we have
As
to
Ian
bring that
suggested
up.
earlier.
Yeah. What does she say about the BBC?
Something about there wasn't enough Northerners on the channel.
No one's ever said that. She labelled the BBC an institution riven by bias and staffed by people whose mum and dad worked there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul's.
Yeah, my dad was head of the BBC between 1968 and 1975.
Oh, mine was from 75 to 79. Yeah.
My mum was 82 to 85.
Oh, okay. It's an odd line of attack because the Mirror revealed in 2012 Ms Dorries had employed her two daughters in secretarial roles in her private office, giving one a £15,000 pay rise. What was Matt Hancock up to at the weekend?
Did he appear at the conference? I mean, is it any of our business?
Oh, he did the marathon.
He did the London Marathon.
He's obviously done enough running lately. So why not put that to good use and raise some money for charity?
Yeah, he raised quite a lot of money, I think, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he's given it to his mate who runs his local pub. What were the crowd shouting at Matt to encourage him to finish? Any ideas?
No.
No, let's have a look. Not everyone has been so mean to Matt. How have his constituents been comforting him since his sacking?
What, all of them?
Individually, surely, by alphabetical order.
Well, no, they've just been very, very nice to him.
Have
Let's
they?
Look.
Been good to see you. You've done really good to see you.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you know, we've got through it, haven't we? You know, and now coming out the other side. There we go, fist bump. How are you doing?
Not too bad.
How's business? Is it okay? More on the High Street, and then there's more on Queen Street.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to sort them out. Got to get people in.
Variety, but hopefully
Yeah.
we'll be back on track.
Yeah.
We'll keep positive.
Yeah. Keep positive.
That's the main thing.
Good stuff. Nice to meet you. Take care.
I'm all right. Nice to be out and about. Yeah. You take it for granted.
That's not a very good thing to say to a man who's trapped in a box. Nice to be out and about. Look at him.
This is Boris Johnson's vision of Britain. High wage, high skill, high productivity, highly unlikely ever to happen. Some Conservatives were seen wearing this badge, calling themselves Tory scum. Yet again, nicking an idea from Labour. Newly appointed Culture Secretary Nadine Dorries recently warned the BBC has a problem with impartiality. Well, if you're watching Ms Dorries, we hope you appreciate the very balanced way we're covering the news this week. And if you're not watching, who cares? Tory scum. During the Tory conference in Manchester, Jacob Rees-Mogg was turned away at midnight from a nightclub, which was bad news for his laudanum dealer who was waiting in the toilets. Earlier this summer, Dominic Raab lost his job as Foreign Secretary after relaxing on holiday during the Afghan crisis. Raab denied he'd been paddleboarding on holiday in Crete, saying the sea was closed. Oh, what a great idea. How'd you do that? Asked Priti Patel. Paul and Ross,
Yes.
take a look at this.
Oil depot. Say what you see. Oil depot. Cars. Lorries.
Hoover.
Petrol station closed. There's fuel shortages.
Yes, correct. Not a lot of it about, is there?
No. What's it like in Australia, Ross?
I mean, apparently there's a global shortage of drivers. It's not just in Europe. It's not just here. Apparently, according to Boris, global shortage.
Is there?
I've just come from Australia.
Yeah.
Loads of lorries.
Is there? Perhaps they got lost.
Yeah. I flew back through Singapore and I didn't hear a single person say, "Oh, there's no lorries about." At one point, I looked out of the plane.
Yeah.
A lot of lorries.
Yeah.
It's almost as if it's bullshit.
Yeah, this is the shortage of, among other things, petrol, which is improving throughout the rest of the country, but because it's still bad in London, it's a very important story.
That's what I don't understand. The hospitals are full. The supermarkets are empty. We all work from home. What the hell do people need fuel for? Like, other than to set fire to your hopes and dreams. Like, what? What are we using it for?
What started or who started this fuel problem?
Keir Starmer.
Is Keir Starmer's fault?
I'm just applying balance here. Keir Starmer. It's entirely his fault. Leader of the opposition, fuel crisis, Starmer.
Starmer.
Yeah, as people are calling him now, Keir Petrol Pump Starmer.
Yep. Can't get my car to start, Starmer.
Yeah.
It's his fault.
Yeah. Yeah, the global supply chain, it's suffering from what economists call just-in-time syndrome.
The just-in-time economy, this is the whole concept that the market knows best, right? The market knows best. So we used to have like a massive gas storage unit. We allowed it to close because the market knows best. Now, I don't know a lot about economics, I'm going to be honest, but if you have a supply chain shortage and you don't have any backup and you have to actually waive competition law and your shelves are empty, then maybe the market doesn't know best. Like maybe the market's an idiot and maybe you need to regulate it. Just an idea.
You want to hear some scary numbers?
Yeah, whoa, 45.
That's pretty scary. There are 1.5 billion litres of petrol in all the cars in the UK if they're full.
Yeah.
In the nation's petrol pumps, if they're full, there's 1.3 billion litres.
Oh.
That's scary, huh?
Yeah.
Incredible.
At the height of the petrol shortage, some motorists were getting quite desperate. What did a group of them do between Wolverhampton and Northamptonshire last week?
Did they go around siphoning it off?
Yeah.
No, it's actually quite hard to siphon now because the cars have... Not that I've tried, it sounds like I've tried. Cars have a ball now that you can't just stick a hose in and...
Can't you?
And then put it into... You can't do that anymore.
You've got to be careful you don't do it to a Tesla.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you've... Tricky.
And that kind of physical action needs to be mistaken, can't
Exactly, yes. Please don't turn that into a gift.
Don't do that.
But if Tesla want me to advertise their product...
Yeah.
A group of drivers, they followed this tanker travelling from Wolverhampton to Overston in Northamptonshire. They followed it for nearly 70 miles because they thought it was full of petrol until they discovered it was tanker full of cement. And what did they say to the driver when he stopped at a building site rather than a petrol station?
Can we have a lift? We've run out of petrol.
They demanded to know why he hadn't told them he wasn't carrying petrol. What's Boris Johnson's big idea for fixing this petrol crisis?
We're 100,000 drivers short, so he's bringing in the army. Total 70,000 men. Details.
Yeah. But Ian Duncan Smith's got an HGV licence.
The Queen's got one.
Has she?
Yeah, left over from the war.
Yeah, any German who has a license before about 1997 is allowed to drive an HGV, and my father's German, and so they sent letters out to all the Germans that had a license from before 97 and said, hey, would you like to help us sort out our infrastructure? And my dad said, well, that's what we tried to do in the 40s, but you wouldn't let us.
President Macron of France has been particularly hostile recently. Would you like to see him looking a little bit silly?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Here he is in the summer, being welcomed on the island of Manihi.
Enough of the welcome.
Vladimir Putin has been very helpful, hasn't he, offering to turn up the gas for a bit?
Yeah, well, who knew? If you can't afford your gas bills, you have to go to the major supplier, which is him. He now supplies all of us.
Does he ring you out of the blue and ask if you wanted to switch suppliers?
He does. He said, I can offer you a much better deal.
Yeah.
Or you die.
We have to use his new pipeline as well, which bypasses Ukraine.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the key thing. I mean, we did on this show 10 years ago warn about the danger of Russians controlling the pipeline in the opening sequence. We warned everybody.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Apart from petrol lorry drivers and common sense, what else are we short of in this country?
Is it abattoir workers?
Yeah, butchers.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
There's not enough meat processing plants to kill all the pigs and chop them up, so the farmers are having to basically kill them and just get rid of them. You know, I don't understand why they just can't have a bit of surplus pigs for a while.
Is there somewhere somebody opening some pork markets up that we could possibly exploit and send our pigs there?
Who's been put in charge of sorting all this out?
Michael Gove.
Yes, is the right answer. He understands how upsetting it is if you lose your regular supply. What is behind all these individual crises and making them worse?
Is it not Brexit?
Yeah, but it's COVID, isn't it? Isn't that part of the problem? I mean, you're a virologist. Is it all over, COVID now? We safe to go back?
Oh, OK, I can't make this funny. All right, so pause, but I don't know. I'm expecting every virus that didn't have its day last year, other than SARS-2, to come in this winter and just be like, ha! Do you know what I mean? Because we all socially distanced last year, so a lot of people got COVID, but nobody got anything else. We didn't have colds, we didn't have flu, we didn't have anything else because we were playing it safe. And this year, we're sort of intermingling and just sort of, you know, Michael Goving it up. And we could be getting everything we didn't get last year, but all at once. It could be nasty because, you know.
But that could solve the problem.
What?
Bring back swine flu.
Yeah.
The pigs are gone.
Oh. Yeah.
Get them on the phone. Yeah.
5 footballers in the current England squad are not vaccinated, and even more serious than that, Ian, obviously, there's 3 Strictly Come Dancing pros who are not vaccinated.
Yeah, but we're not allowed to know who they are, and people are quite upset.
Does the vaccine react against chiffon? Have they confused DNA sequence with sequins? Like...
Yes, this is the supply chaos hitting the economy. To attract more butchers from Europe, ministers are considering relaxing the requirement for them to speak a good level of English. It's now down to 2 words, pig and hammer. According to The Times, among the items hit by shipping delays are sofas. Things are so bad, DFS is considering calling off its sale. So, on to the next round.
Oh, that looks impressive.
We're on to round 2, the petrol pump of news. Yeah.
Just as well it isn't live, because you'd have a queue of panellists going all around the building.
Buzz in when you know the story.
Hang on, what are we looking at here? I see.
Yes.
Russia is going to make a film, the first people to make a film in outer space, although other sort of documentaries have been made. But they've sent up a director and an actress, and they said they're going to make the first people to make a full-length film in outer space. But, I mean, just one person being filmed in a tiny little capsule isn't going to sustain for an hour and a half. So I presume it's going to be sort of like a bit of footage, and then there'll be some stuff on the Earth where a husband says, "Oh, you didn't tell me you were an astronaut." "Well, I told you, didn't ever listen to what I say." And then she'll get it off with another astronaut as they float across the Bay of Biscay.
Is the right answer.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right answer.
Actor Yulia Peresild and director Kim Shipenko arrived at the International Space Station on Tuesday.
They only did it to spite Tom Cruise, didn't they?
Yes.
Basically,
Because
yeah.
Tom Cruise was going to do it, and they just went, "No, I don't think so." He's had Russian bad guys in his film, so they went, "Yeah, we'll send them up first."
Yeah.
Which I think BBC have missed the trick. They should have done like an EastEnders special.
Well, like when they leave EastEnders in the back of a cab, you just see them pulling out of the square. You just have them through a hatch at the International Space Station. Dum, 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 dum. Yeah, be good. Tom Cruise and Elon Musk were going to make a film, but the flight has been delayed until 2022. They couldn't find a booster seat for Tom. What's the biggest space news of the week?
Oh, I mean, Captain Kirk is going to space.
Yes.
Forget the Russians. I mean, James T. Kirk is going.
Yeah.
Boldly.
This is the key thing. He's 90, William Shatner. So, yeah, I mean...
Mike Shatner.
Say what?
I mean, that's an age, isn't it, to be going up into space?
It is an age to be going up.
Yeah, he's been blasted into space courtesy of Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin, and hopefully blasted back down again. Shatner said, "I've heard about space for a long time now. I'm taking the opportunity to see it for myself."
And they'd better watch out, because when he came on this show, he libelled a town in Cornwall, for which we had to apologise.
Ilfracombe.
He said it was full of prostitutes.
Yeah.
Whereas we know that's St Ives. And his biggest concern about the 11-minute trip into space?
Oh.
Toilet breaks.
Is the correct answer, yeah. Using the toilet, or to be precise, not using the toilet. He told a journalist, when you're 90, 11 minutes can be a long time.
The last thing you want is the captain's log sneaking out. So, come on.
Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Oh, dear.
Yes, Ria.
Is this the release of the Pandora Papers?
Yes, it is.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
There was another core dump of like 11 million papers that just explain what we all already knew, which is that rich people put their money offshore and stay richer, and Tony Blair. You know, I mean, that was the big one. That's the big one that we focus on. So Russian oligarchs, a whole bunch of Tory donors have done dodgy stuff with money. Some people from, is it the Middle East?
Yep, the Middle East, Africa, it's most world leaders have
Most world leaders
managed
have been
to
in it.
conceal the money they've stolen.
And then Shakira, and then Tony Blair. Tony Blair didn't pay stamp duty on a property by buying it via an offshore company, saved £312,000. So I think we should just nationalise Tony Blair, and that'll keep the universal credit going for a while longer.
Mrs. Blair said the sellers insisted the property be sold that way, and there was nothing illegal about the transaction, just to make that clear.
Yes.
But they did. They saved around £300,000 in stamp duty. I should just say that almost the last time I saw you, Ross, I was pretending to be Tony Blair, and we got off with each other.
That's true, yes. Yes, you would. That is absolutely true. My very first on-screen kiss, I was dressed as a tramp. You were Tony Blair, and we kissed on a train.
Yeah.
We were just sort of pretending to kiss, and the director actually said, no, I'm sorry, this is not reading on camera. You're going to actually have to kiss.
Yeah. He didn't mean tongues, though, Ross. So
well, that is
sorry
true.
about that.
But he made us do it a lot.
We did it a lot. And you hadn't shaved, by the way.
I was playing a tramp. You can't talk. I mean, I don't know why I was cast as a homeless man.
I don't know why I was cast as Tony Blair. You know. We also learnt something else about Tony Blair this week. What hasn't he done since 1997?
Told the truth.
Not done washing up.
That's exactly right, yeah. He's not done a weekly shop, cooked a meal for the family, driven a car, or done any laundry since 1997.
Well, he's done a bit of financial laundry. I can see a slight feeling of ennui at these revelations, but they are fairly startling. I mean, it does say that the Conservative Party is almost entirely funded by Russian oligarchs, most of whom are actually sanctioned. They're not allowed, you know, to have any normal relations with normal people, which I know doesn't rule out the Conservative Party, but it does make you worry that, you know, our leading political party, which is in government, is entirely funded, almost entirely funded, by foreign nationals who don't have our interests at heart. I mean, I know it's a boring story, but it is sort of touch worrying. But the last two Conservative governments have promised to make offshore dealings more transparent. And Cameron said he would, and May said that they would, and every Conservative government has promised. And the fact that most of their money comes from offshore is obviously not the reason why they don't do anything. No bias here, Nadine.
It is a pretty scandalous thing. It's like allowing Saudi Arabia to buy an English football club.
Is that going through?
Yeah, a lot of players for the job.
Comedian Mark Nelson tweeted, incredible to think Saudi Arabia are about to invest as much money in Newcastle United as they did into 9/11. Philip Green was also mentioned in the papers. What did Philip Green do?
Oh, he bought his kids' houses, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, quite expensive as well.
Quite expensive houses.
Yes.
He went on a spending spree, bought loads of property, just as BHS was on the brink of collapse.
Yeah. Well, that's fair enough. He felt depressed because all those pensioners weren't going to get any money. So he went out and did a bit of shopping therapy. Yeah. And he bought 3 enormous multi-million-pound houses for himself and his family.
Yeah.
Good on him.
Who would have thought Philip Green would have turned out to be a bit of a shit?
He was merely building up a store of British homes. I knew that would get a groan. I've never been able to do puns in my life.
What has Prince Andrew been up to recently? Oh. Well, we're there. We might as well get into Prince Andrew.
He hasn't been sweating. We know that.
That's true.
Bring back sweater.
Has he changed his name and moved to Aldershot?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Well, St. Ives after this goes out, but... you mean, is this the story where he's had his lawyers have gotten access to the secret papers that they think are going to absolve him of any responsibility in the situation, the Epstein papers that got signed?
Yeah, and he's basically refused to be served papers by the lawyers. He sort of has played a game of cat and mouse. He's hiding out. And he spent 3 weeks in Balmoral, so they couldn't get to him, because you have to physically hand the papers over. The game of cat and mouse eventually led to the US lawyers releasing a photo of them posting there it is. It's nice to see a little picture of his mum there to remind him what a disappointment he was to her. These are the Pandora Papers. On seeing the papers, one Conservative MP remarked, "London is the money laundering capital of the world." Yeah, take that, Ramonas, we've still got it. One ruler shown to have exploited the tax system is the King of Jordan, pictured here. Still not the dodgiest person she's been photographed with. These allegations are now 20 years old, so Prince Andrew's losing a bit of interest. Buzzers on fingers.
Buzzers on fingers.
Going in. Yes.
Somebody has suggested that James Bond should be played by a woman.
Who suggested that recently, especially?
It could only be someone like Keir Starmer.
It was. Keir Starmer's the right answer, yeah. Keir Starmer can't hold his party together, but he does think the new Bond should be a woman. Quite a fanciful idea, a woman being James Bond. Not quite as far-fetched as a woman being leader of the Labour Party. What's Keir's reason for asking for a female James Bond?
I think he wants James Bond to be a woman because he was very against raising minimum wage up to £15, and if James Bond is a woman, he doesn't have to pay her as much.
Right. When asked who his favourite Bond was, Starmer remained characteristically on the fence, saying, "I don't have a favourite Bond, but I do think it's time for a female Bond." Talking of misogyny, who got in trouble this week at the Tory conference?
Dominic Raab.
Yes, he did.
Who didn't understand what misogyny meant.
Let's have a look.
So I think insults and misogyny is, of course, absolutely wrong, whether it's a man against a woman or a woman against a man.
I think he thought misogyny is a hotel resort in Crete.
Oh, there's your new James Bond character. Ah, misogyny, I've been expecting you.
The International Chess Federation.
Yeah,
come under fire
About
recently.
time. About time we heard from them.
What have they done now?
Oh, they're run by Keir Starmer, aren't they?
Yeah. Build back backgammon. That's what that's
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sorry.
Their first corporate sponsorship agreement specifically aimed at supporting women's chess and is being sponsored by a company that makes breast implants. Many people argue this could adversely affect the promotion of chess amongst women. Only 39 of the 1,300 grandmasters in the sport are women.
Well, it's so true, isn't it? The moment you have boobs, you lose interest in chess. It's funny how the two never go together. I think it's because, you know, the moment you turn around, you just hit all the pieces. With, and it's just like, now we have to start again. But actually, to put this into perspective, first of all, Motiva, the company, they're saying they're going to focus the campaign, you know, with women in chess towards reconstructive surgery after breast cancer. But secondly, and I think more importantly, let's look at who's actually sponsoring the men's game right now. So Gazprom, gas company, Russia's favorite, Nornickel, the mining and metallurgy company, and Phosagro Group, one of the 3 largest producers of phosphate-based fertilizers in the world, to Russia. So out of the two, you know, I think the women are winning right now.
Who knew chess was such a cesspit?
Yeah.
They got into trouble before. This is the logo they used for the 2018 World Chess Championships.
Is the one on the left, right?
Yeah.
Look, has that person got a trotter? They've got a pig's trotter.
In more positive news, what has the Magic Circle done recently?
They appointed a woman president, and the youngest ever as well. She's like 28.
Megan Swan. She's got a particular style of magic. She does green magic.
Oh.
It's all themed around protecting the environment and teaching children about climate change. Book early to avoid disappointment.
Wow. What does she just... She pulls a dead rabbit out of a hat.
That's what happened. That's what happened.
Wow.
Anyone know who the Magic Circle's most famous member is?
Uri Geller?
Is it Prince Charles?
It is indeed. Well done, yeah. Do you know why he got into the Magic Circle?
Because his mum asked him to make his brother disappear.
Yeah, he was inducted into the circle in 1974. He performed a cup and balls trick. This is the news that Keir Starmer has said he would like to see a female James Bond. The producers of the Bond movies have already said that the next James Bond will not be a woman. But just to annoy Piers Morgan, the person who makes all the gadgets will be called LGBTQ. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features his guest publication, Emu Today and Tomorrow. The magazine for emu farmers. I'd love to say it's flying off the shelves, but sadly that's impossible. Can we start with Angela Merkel what before she leaves office?
Steals all the stationery?
Yeah, nicks all the envelopes.
The answer is Angela Merkel, commemorative teddies sell out before she leaves office.
Really?
Well, we could have been here a long time trying to guess that.
I think you would have.
Can I just check? Are we talking about the teddy as in the...
No.
Yes!
the snap through...
There's no other kind.
Talking about a teddy bear. Let's have a look at the teddy bear.
That is worth having for Christmas, isn't it? It is.
It also inexplicably bleats like a sheep when you turn it over. The teddy bear's hands are placed together in her famous hand gesture known as the Merkel rhombus. To be honest, when I heard there was a teddy bear doing a German leader's hand gesture, I thought, wow, they finally relaxed a bit. Next, 1 in 10 Brits want to be remembered with what?
A hard-on. Come on, admit it. Put your hand up.
Put both hands up.
And I'll tell you what, it'd be a hell of an open casket, wouldn't
Exactly, yeah.
it? You can't get lit.
The answer is, with a Viking funeral on a burning...
No.
New research has shown that half of Brits would like to be remembered in a fun, alternative way after they die. 5% say they want to be cryogenically frozen. Well, if they wait till winter and can't pay their gas bill, they could be in luck. Next, Boris Johnson hires what to make Rishi Sunak what?
Poor people to make Rishi Sunak feel richer than his wife.
Is it platform shoes?
To make him taller.
Boris Johnson hires tall men to make Rishi Sunak feel small. A senior Conservative MP has claimed that Boris Johnson deliberately hires tall ministers in order to make Rishi Sunak look small. For similar reasons, he surrounds Nadine Dorries with competent people.
Oh, really?
Sorry. I know you're a fan. Next, pop sensation Shakira what by 2 wild boar?
Romanced?
Romance. She was chased, wasn't she? She was in the woods somewhere. She went for a walk, she got chased.
Exactly right. Attacked and robbed by 2 wild...
Robbed?
Colombian pop star Shakira claims 2 wild boars stole her handbag whilst walking in a Barcelona park. When she was attacked, Shakira let out a series of wild screams. But sadly, the boars didn't recognise her latest single and just kept on attacking. Next, experienced emu farmer advises new emu farmers to what?
Learn how to drive an HGV. Better money.
Stay out of industry. Go on, stay out of it. There's not enough work to go round. Get out.
Pack it in. Farm alpacas.
Yeah.
Experienced emu farmer advises new emu farmers to not always trust what you read on Facebook about emu farming. This is from the magazine Emu Today and Tomorrow. I'll be honest, the magazine has some pretty bold editorials. They're not afraid to stick their necks out. Next, farmer who used what has charges against him dropped?
Napalm.
Farmer who used sign to insult his village has charges against him dropped. Following a local planning row, farmer Carl Powell has stood accused of public order offences after displaying a sign which he accused the village of Peopleton of being a murderous, lawless, God-forsaken place, probably, most definitely, the nastiest village in Worcestershire.
Is that twinned with Basingstoke?
I'm getting the impression he's not really a Peopleton person.
No.
Next, tea towel company causes outrage by censoring what?
Oh, big chalk cock.
Yes, is the right answer.
I used to go to school with him.
Tea towel company accuses outrage by censoring the Cern Abbas giant's penis. Well, let's have a look. Here's the Cern Abbas giant and the tea towel in question. There we go.
What?
It's a parachute. Obviously.
But it's originally, it was quite small, the penis, and then over the last sort of 900 years or so, people have just childishly made it bigger and bigger.
That's how he wanted to be remembered.
And finally, when starting as an emu farmer, one owner spent 2 years, what?
Slaughtering his pigs first.
Oh, making massive omelettes.
Yes.
When starting as an emu farmer, one owner spent 2 years just watching her emus.
That's the minimum requirement. That's the minimum requirement for being an emu farm. How's them emus going, oh, no. I was meant to be watching them.
I moved house last year.
So, the final scores. Ian and Ria have 4, Paul and Ross have 6. But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
Oh, it's the hand of God.
Why is the Pope not wearing a mask and the bloke on the left is?
He has, it's just slipped back onto the back of his head. he pulls those things there like that and it goes...
On which note, we say thank you to our panellists Ian Hislop and Ria Lina, Paul Merton and Ross Noble. And I leave you with news that Boris Johnson reacts to being told there was an incorrect use of the subjunctive in his conference speech. From the back of a Range Rover comes the lament that the harness of the child seat won't fasten tightly enough. And Prince Andrew laughs off claims that he's avoiding US authorities during an early morning stroll in the grounds of Windsor. Good night.
After William Shatner on this programme said that Ilfracombe, I think the actual phrase was riddled with prostitution. The mayor of Ilfracombe complained to William Shatner and the BBC, and William Shatner's replied back from his home in Los Angeles says, "No, have another look. I think you'll find it is."